As this year's camping season comes to a close, and as we begin to look forward to the upcoming season, it's probably a good time to reflect on the lessons that we've learned. In this video, I share 9 lessons I've learned from longer road trips that I've taken. Hey everybody, this is John Marucci. Thanks for visiting the On the Road YouTube channel. You know, this channel is all about helping you get the most out of your RPod experience. Before we get going, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos are published. If you want to dive deeper, we put more content and photos on Instagram and Twitter at John Marucci. So let's jump in. So here's some of the lessons learned from this past year of long road trips. The first one is, and it's fairly obvious, you just don't need as much stuff as you think. Time actually flies pretty quickly, and you don't need near as much clothing or food or general supplies as you think. So most of the places that we go tend to have convenience stores, Walmarts, and other things that you can pick up food. So it's usually not a great idea on a long trip to just overpack the RPod with all kinds of things, most of which you can get locally. As I heard someone say one time, as far as clothing, you know, lay out what you think that you need and then cut it in half. So that's a pretty good rule, actually, I found to be true. The next thing is to pack less and to buy more locally, and I talked about this a little bit ago. You know, it's probably not a good idea, and I've made this mistake, by the way, is to buy Costco-size packages and bring them with you. Big packages of paper towels so that you have a bunch of paper towels with you. You're going on a 7-week trip, and you don't want to rebuy paper towels. Well, paper towels is something you can get locally almost anywhere at a Walmart or whatnot. So it may not be a good idea to take up space, which is at a premium, with huge packaging of stuff, all right? We like to save money and have low prices and buy large amounts, but space is actually a premium when you're doing longer trips. So remember, you have Walmarts and grocery stores nearby generally, most places you go, and you can just pick up stuff like that. Okay, number 3 is to actually pack more and buy less online. Now this is kind of the opposite of what I just said, but this has to do with specialty items, hard to find items like specialty foods or vitamin supplements or things like that that you may not be able to get locally where you're going to. Those things you do want to pack. Usually these aren't big items as far as taking up space, but they're specialty items that you do need to remember. And with that, you know, you can get things shipped to you, and we've done this and had some mixed results with using like Amazon lockers. When we went down to Florida last winter, we tried Amazon lockers, and it worked, where Amazon delivers to like a local 7-Eleven or convenience store, and you go there. But we had mixed experiences with that because sometimes the lockers are full and it takes an extra day to get your stuff. And so, you know, one thing to remember, wherever you're going, if you do have to get things shipped, call in to your local ranger station or your campsite to find out if they take Amazon deliveries. You may be surprised. Many state parks will receive Amazon packages for you, and then instead of going across town to find an Amazon locker at a 7-Eleven, you just go to the ranger station at your campsite and find the package there waiting for you. So a good thing to remember. Okay, number 4. Remember to know your check-in and check-out times. Now, we made this mistake when we were in Florida because we assumed that certain check-in and check-out times are standard, but it's not necessarily the case. An example is Disney's Fort Wilderness Campground. We were thinking you couldn't check in till 3 p.m., which is our usual experience with state parks, but actually you can check in at 1 p.m. So we were actually tooling around longer than we needed to, and we could have checked in earlier and enjoyed the campsite longer. So remember to know your check-in and check-out times. They're not necessarily standard between campgrounds, okay? Number 5, and this is one I haven't talked about in any video I'm going to bring up right now, is Walmart propane. So when we went to Florida, we went in winter last year, and we brought 2 propane tanks, one attached to the RPod and one spare. Now, what we did is we went through the propane fairly quickly because it's cold and we're running the heater all night. So you do go through propane quicker, and we had to replace the propane tank. So what we did is we went to a Walmart to get the cheapest possible price on a propane replacement. Now, I have very mixed emotions about talking about Walmart propane because I don't think this is their primary business. And we had some very mixed results with dealing with Walmarts as far as getting propane. First of all, it seems like it's difficult at times to get someone to help you in the garden center in winter. And it's not very well staffed for, you know, plants and things. So it's difficult to get someone to help you out. Usually you're trying to find a key. So it was a stressful situation, us just getting a replacement Walmart tank. And then unfortunately we ran into an issue where the Walmart tank that we got didn't work right. We thought that we actually had a bad hose connector. We actually went through the whole workout of getting a replacement hose through Amazon and found out it wasn't the hose connector at all. What it was the Walmart tank wasn't working right and the hose wouldn't seal to it. So we had to try and take it back. We were at a different part of the state at that point. The Walmart we went to did not have the same type or brand of propane that the one we got in a different city, and so they just wouldn't replace it. It was quite a frustrating situation, so we ended up actually just turning in the half-used tank and took the loss and just got a propane tank somewhere else. But just remember that. Don't go through the stress of that if you have an issue with propane. You just take your lumps if it doesn't work right and get a new one. Okay, number 6 is add extra time. So this is really important when you're traveling an RV in general, and especially on longer trips. Don't anticipate that you're going to be able to drive 10 hours like you do in a car in a day with an RPod towing. It's a little more difficult. Usually you're going to be going slower. Probably have to take some breaks that you usually don't in a car. So just realize it's going to take a lot longer usually to get somewhere in a travel trailer than it does in a regular car trip. So with that, just try to set your expectations accordingly. We usually drive a considerably lower speed, more around 60 miles an hour than 70 on a 70-mile-an-hour highway with the RPod, and it just takes longer to get there. So you have to do that, and when you're leaving places, tear up, tear down takes longer, so just plan more time and try and take the stress off from a time perspective. Okay, number 7 is allow flexibility in your schedule, especially true for winter travel. Those of you who are planning to take out on the road this winter, you want to make sure you're flexible in your departure times. This last winter when we went to Florida, we actually left 2 days before we wanted to because we knew a storm was coming in Michigan, and so we wanted to get in front of it, and we're glad we did because we left early. If we would have left the time we were supposed to, we got stuck in a storm and driving the storm, which is no fun at all with a trailer. So we got out early and made that adjustment and got where we needed to go and pretty much got in front of the storm. So just be flexible with your departure times, arrival times, just as far as time in general. Okay. Number 8, remember to use lists. Now this is a very basic thing that most people do, so it may be preaching the choir here, but make sure you have lists, especially on longer trips. Mark down just about everything you can think of that you may need for longer trips and go through that list when you're packing. It's very important that you don't forget any of these items that you definitely need for the longer trips. And a list always helps. There's a couple good apps that we can use. Wunderlist is a good app. OneNote from Microsoft is a good app. Just make lists so that you can check those off. Or the paper method, obviously. And have those lists ready, especially if you're doing longer trips. Really important in the winter if you're packing everything up in the winter. You're outside and it's cold out there. You're just doing things quickly. You can forget something, so make sure you check your list off. And number 9, kind of the overarching one, enjoy the journey. Okay, it's not just about getting there. The fun part of travel with an RV is the journey. Try to enjoy it. Have fun with who you're with. A lot of the points before this about taking pressure off with time will help that, make it more fun. And remember, it's a long trip, and they can be really memorable and fun and points of interest and things that you can hit. So hopefully that's enjoyable. If you like this video, again, hit the like button. Give it a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, any other tips that you think may be helpful to others, please put them in the comments below as far as long trip tips. Great to have your comments on here. They really will help people. We appreciate your interaction on the site. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is John Marucci, and so long for now.